You probably don't think twice about it. Your dog wears their collar every single day, and when bedtime comes, it usually stays on. Most owners never even consider removing it. But here's the truth. That collar sitting around your dog's neck right now, the one with the tags, the one that feels completely normal and harmless, may not always be the safest thing for your dog to wear while sleeping. That may sound surprising, especially since millions of dogs sleep with their collars on every single night and nothing bad happens at all. But veterinarians and emergency animal hospitals have seen situations where a simple collar became part of a much bigger problem, sometimes causing skin irritation, painful pressure getting caught on objects, or creating risks that owners never imagined until it was too late. The good news is that most of these situations are completely preventable once you know what to look for. And that's exactly what you'll learn today. We'll explain when sleeping with a collar is usually safe, when it may become a hidden risk. The types of collars that deserve extra attention. The dogs that are more vulnerable than others. And the simple nighttime routine many veterinarians recommend to help keep dogs both comfortable and safe. Because this isn't about telling every owner to throw away their dog's collar, it's about understanding when one small habit could make a meaningful difference. The truth is, many people think of a collar as just another part of a dog's body, almost like a permanent accessory that never needs to come off. But once you understand what can happen during the hours when your dog is sleeping, stretching, scratching, rolling over, and moving around without anyone watching, you'll probably never look at that collar in quite the same way again. So let's start with a simple question. Why do so many owners leave their dog's collar on overnight in the first place? And is it actually the safest choice? The answer is actually very simple. For most owners, leaving a collar on overnight isn't a decision they consciously make. It's simply a habit. The collar stays on after the morning walk through playtime, dinner, and bedtime. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and eventually, it feels as though the collar is just part of the dog. Many people never even question whether it should come off. And that's completely understandable. After all, collars serve an important purpose. They hold identification tags, license information, and sometimes GPS trackers that can help reunite a lost dog with their family. In many households, taking the collar off may even feel risky because owners worry their dog could accidentally slip outside without any identification. Those are valid concerns. But here's where daytime and nighttime become two very different situations. During the day, your dog is usually awake, supervised, and moving through familiar routines. If the collar catches on something or begins causing discomfort, there's often someone nearby who notices quickly. Nighttime is different. Imagine wearing a watch that's just a little too tight. During the day, you might notice the pressure and adjust it without thinking. But if you wore that same watch continuously for weeks without ever taking it off, your skin would never have a chance to fully breathe. A dog's neck can experience something similar. As they sleep, dogs constantly change positions. They stretch, scratch, roll onto their backs, curl into tight balls, rub against bedding, and sometimes wedge themselves into small spaces around furniture or inside crates. Most of the time, nothing unusual happens. But every one of those movements creates opportunities for a collar to rub repeatedly against the same area of skin, or in uncommon cases become caught on surrounding objects. That doesn't mean collars are dangerous by themselves. It means that continuous wear, especially with the wrong collar, poor fit, or certain sleeping environments, can gradually increase risks that many owners simply never think about. And surprisingly, the first signs usually aren't dramatic emergencies. They're often so small that they're easy to overlook until they become a much bigger problem. So what are those early warning signs? And which ones should every dog owner recognize before it's too late? One of the biggest reasons these problems are often missed is because they usually begin with changes that seem too small to matter. You probably won't wake up one morning to find your dog suddenly refusing to wear their collar or crying out in pain. In fact, many dogs continue eating, playing, and acting completely normal while minor irritation is quietly developing underneath the collar. That's why it's so important to know what to look for. The first clue is often the skin itself. When you remove your dog's collar, take a moment to look underneath it instead of putting it straight back on. Healthy skin should look calm and comfortable. If you notice redness, hair loss, flaky skin, small sores, or an unpleasant odor trapped beneath the collar, those are signs that the area may not be getting enough airflow or that constant friction is irritating the skin. For dogs with thick or long coats, these warning signs can be even harder to spot because the fur hides what's happening underneath. Moisture from rain, swimming, or even humid weather can remain trapped close to the skin for hours, creating the perfect environment for irritation or bacterial and yeast overgrowth. Another sign many owners overlook is frequent scratching around the neck. Of course, dogs scratch from time to time, and not every scratch means there's a problem. But if your dog repeatedly scratches only around the collar area, rubs their neck against furniture, or seems unusually eager to have the collar removed, it's worth taking a closer look. Sometimes the collar itself isn't the issue at all. Instead, it's the fit. A collar that's too loose can swing and rub against the neck every time your dog walks or runs. One that's too tight creates constant pressure and friction against the same areas of skin. That's why veterinarians often recommend the two-finger rule. You should be able to comfortably slide 2 fingers between the collar and your dog's neck. It should feel secure enough that it won't slip off easily, but loose enough that it isn't pressing tightly against the skin. Even with the correct fit, however, there's another risk that has nothing to do with skin irritation. It's a risk that many owners never think about because it doesn't come from the collar touching the neck. It comes from what the collar can accidentally catch on while your dog is sleeping or playing. And that's the part many owners don't hear about until something has already gone wrong. For many owners, this is the part that comes as the biggest surprise. When people think about collars, they usually think about comfort. They wonder whether it's too tight, too loose, or rubbing the skin. But veterinarians are often just as concerned about something else: entanglement. Fortunately, these incidents are uncommon, but when they do happen, they can become serious very quickly. Imagine your dog sleeping inside a wire crate. During the night, they stretch, roll over, or scratch their neck, and an ID tag or part of the collar catches on the metal bars. Or perhaps the collar becomes hooked on a fence, a heating vent, furniture, another dog's jaw during rough play, or even a branch in the backyard. Most dogs instinctively pull away. Instead of freeing themselves, the collar can tighten, creating panic. The harder they struggle, the tighter it may become. While these situations are rare, they are one of the main reasons many veterinarians, trainers, and animal shelters recommend removing traditional collars whenever dogs are unsupervised indoors or sleeping, especially if they're inside crates or playing with other dogs. Puppies deserve even more attention. Young dogs are naturally curious. They squeeze into narrow spaces, chew on each other's collars, wrestle constantly, and explore every corner of the house. Their playful behavior makes accidental snagging more likely than it is for a calm adult dog. Multi-dog households also carry an additional risk. During play, one dog's lower jaw or teeth can occasionally become caught underneath another dog's collar. Although most play sessions end without any problems, accidents like these have been documented, which is why many daycare facilities and experienced trainers remove collars before allowing dogs to engage in off-leash group play. The encouraging news is that these risks are largely preventable. Something as simple as removing the collar before bedtime, before crate time, or before unsupervised indoor play can significantly reduce the chances of an accident. But here's the important question. If taking the collar off at night is often recommended, how do you make sure your dog is still protected if they were to accidentally get outside? That's where many owners find the balance between safety and identification, and there are several practical solutions that allow you to have both. For many families, the simplest solution is to think of the collar the same way you think about your own shoes. You wear shoes when you go outside because they serve a purpose. But once you're safely back home, you usually take them off because they're no longer necessary. A dog's collar can be viewed in much the same way. When your dog is out on a walk, visiting the park, traveling, or anywhere there is a chance they could become separated from you, identification is incredibly important. A properly fitted collar with an ID tag can make all the difference in helping a lost dog find their way home. But when your dog is safely indoors for the night, especially in a secure home where escape is highly unlikely, many owners choose to remove the collar to give the neck a chance to rest and to eliminate the small risks we've discussed. Of course, every home is different. If your dog frequently uses a doggy door, lives on a large property, or there's a realistic possibility they could get outside unexpectedly, keeping identification on them may still be the safer choice. In those situations, some owners use lightweight breakaway collars designed to release under excessive pressure. Others rely on microchips as permanent identification while still using a regular collar whenever the dog is outdoors. It's important to remember that a microchip is not a GPS tracker. It cannot tell you where your dog is. Instead, it stores a unique identification number that can be read by a veterinary clinic or animal shelter if your dog is found. That's why veterinarians often recommend using both forms of identification. A collar helps someone contact you immediately if they find your dog, while a registered microchip provides a permanent backup if the collar is ever lost or removed. Ultimately, there isn't a single rule that fits every dog. The safest routine depends on your dog's lifestyle, your home environment, and the type of collar they're wearing. But before you decide what's best for your own dog, there's one final mistake that quietly puts thousands of dogs at unnecessary risk. Many owners never check whether the collar they're using still fits correctly. And as dogs grow, gain weight, lose weight, or even grow a thicker coat, that fit can change more than you might expect. One small habit. That's all we're really talking about. Not expensive products, not complicated routines, just taking a moment to think about whether your dog's collar needs to stay on while they're sleeping. For many dogs, sleeping with a collar on never causes a problem. But as you've seen today, there are situations where removing it before bed can help reduce unnecessary risks. From skin irritation and trapped moisture to the rare but potentially serious danger of a collar becoming caught on something while your dog is unsupervised. The most important takeaway isn't that every dog should sleep without a collar. It's that every owner should make an informed decision based on their dog's environment, lifestyle, and individual needs. Before bedtime tonight, take 30 seconds to check your dog's collar. Is it still the correct size? Can you comfortably fit 2 fingers underneath it? Is the skin beneath it healthy and free from redness or hair loss? Does your dog really need to wear it while sleeping, or would they be safer and more comfortable without it until morning? Sometimes the biggest improvements in a dog's health don't come from dramatic changes. They come from small habits repeated every single day. And those small habits are often the ones that help our dogs stay comfortable, healthy, and by our side for many years to come. If you found this video helpful, consider sharing it with another dog owner. There's a good chance they've never questioned this everyday habit either, and one simple conversation could help protect another dog. Thank you for watching. Give your dog an extra scratch behind the ears from us, and we'll see you in the next video.